Hello and welcome to Boyd's Blue Alpine Freeze Dryer channel. I was going to do another chicken broth right now to finish up the broth, but instead of starting another 24-hour batch, I decided I would try some of the Salt Water Taffy. I've got a camping trip coming up in a week with a bunch of grandkids, and so I've tried saltwater. I've eaten saltwater taffy that was freeze dried before, but I've never tried Laffy Taffy, and so we decided to buy a bag of saltwater taffy. I know it puffs up quite large, so I cut the saltwater taffy into fourths. So each taffy was cut into a fourth, and the Laffy Taffy, just because I'm not sure how high it will expand, I cut them into eighths, so they're like individual eatable pieces instead of a whole taffy. There's 8 little candies out of each one. We'll see how that works out when they puff up. I'm sure that they will puff up quite a bit, but we'll see how it turns out, and I just plan on taking these to the camping trip with my grandkids, and we'll see how this turns out. So I'm running this one. I did run the candy settings, and I ran it instead of 150 degrees, which it started out, I lowered it to 130 degrees for the pre-warming cycle. I'm pre-warming it for 15 minutes, and I'm going to try to run this for 2 hours with the remainder of the candy cycle, and we will check it out and see how it looks when it's done, see how it works, and hopefully this will work well. After running the freeze dryer for only about 45 minutes, I could see how large it was getting, and I noticed that the mTORs were staying at 200, so I thought maybe it would be dry after just 45 minutes. And I took some pieces out, and they actually weren't fully dry, but they were actually very good. So if you're going to eat it in a couple of days, or in a couple of weeks like I'm planning to, it had just a little bit of moisture in there, which I think actually worked really well for the taffy, because it wasn't the sugar that's just going to break apart. It's not so dry it's in sugar. You still have a tiny bit of chew still in it, but it basically feels dry. The Laffy Taffy, it's a lot like the Starbursts I did on my second candy, where I tried some Starbursts, where it's a little bit harder to chew, but it also has a very good strong flavor, and it's definitely a nice freeze-dried candy that's going to last well in a bag. The taffy, I'm going to go ahead and take some out now and show it to you, but I'm finding it hasn't even run the 2 hours now. It's been about an hour and 15 minutes is all, and I think at this point I'm just going to pull them out. I probably could have done it 45 minutes, but I wanted to get a little bit more air out of it before I did that. So I'm finding that this taffy was literally an hour and a half tops at the 130 degree temperature candy setting. So this taffy would be very easy to do more. If I wanted to be dried and maybe stored for long term, for multiple years, I might run the full 2 hours. But if I'm going to eat it within 6 months, I think, which I'm sure this will all be gone within 3 or 4 months, but I think having a bit of moisture in there, if I just keep it in Ziploc bags, I think it'll be fine. I don't think there's enough moisture in there to make a problem. I'll grab a knife and cut one in half for you to kind of show you how well it works. So let's go ahead and pause this. I'm going to pause it just to see what's going to happen here. Open the door and release the vacuum, or let the vacuum line open so it goes back in. The air into the chamber. And let me grab a cutting board, and the door's open now. I'm gonna wash my hands, just kind of show you how this stuff looks, how it works with the only being out, an hour and a half, hour 15 minutes is all. So let's start with some of the taffy. Saltwater taffy. This is how it looks. So where they started off about the size of a marble, you can kind of see that it's puffed out. This is the banana taffy. These ones are all, like I said, about 3/8 of an inch, quarter to 3/8 of an inch in diameter, about the size of a marble. And they ended up, some of these, the ones that were really smaller, maybe about the size of a quarter, diameter. These ones are a little bigger than a large quarter, and no more than, 3/8 of an inch, maybe about, possibly a ½ inch tall at the most. So just to get an idea how these things, how much moisture's in it and how they cut. Let me find a pocket knife here. Okay, here we go. So here's a knife, and we'll just cut this for you to kind of show you how fragile they really are. I mean, it just goes through and cuts just like a nice powder. So there's clearly no more moisture inside there, and that knife just goes through that just like a, just like the, puffed up sugar, so it's very, very light and airy. Kind of choose like a marshmallow, maybe a freeze-dried marshmallow, or like your marshmallows you get in the cereal. Let's look at some of the Laffy Taffy. Remember, I cut the Laffy Taffies, which are about 2 inches long. Normal Laffy Taffy, 2 inches long, about a 1/4 inch in diameter. I cut them into eighths, and they ended up about the size that I got out of the, the thickness here is about the size that I was getting when I did the Starburst. But this is a lot lighter than the Starburst. With the Starburst, you remember, they were almost like a hard candy. These ones are very light and airy, almost like the Taffy again, like the Salt Water Taffy. I'll just go ahead and cut one of these Laffy Taffies here. A little bit less airy than the Taffy, so there's a little thicker consistency. But let's go ahead and cut this in half and show you. But it's still light and airy on the inside. So if you look inside there, it's just really kind of light and puffy. The crunch, just like the Saltwater Taffy, the flavor, very, very intense cherry flavor on that one. I think it was cherry, either apple or lime. I can't remember what the second flavor was, and the banana, which is my favorite Laffy Taffy. But definitely the apple, the sour apple or green apple flavor. Boy, that is good. I think I'm gonna like the I love Laffy Taffy, but I think these Laffy Taffy bites are probably as good or not better freeze dried than they were fresh. So yeah, I think this worked out really well and super fast. I mean, if you want to do a fast, the hardest time was cutting them into little pieces. That took the most time. But the actual freeze drying time, especially this small, they just go so fast. I mean, this one here, like I said, it was about 1/8 of a Taffy. So the smallest ones I cut, where I just kind of cut an end off, was kind of small, about the size of a small pea, maybe about the size of a garbanzo bean, maybe. And these bigger ones, I don't know how to describe that one. Maybe about a 1/2 inch diameter, so about diameter between a 1/4 and a dime, and puffed up, thicker. About the size of my thumbnail. So pretty good. But yeah, this turned out, I would say this is probably one of the better candies I've done so far. Here's one of the watermelon flavors. I can't remember the other saltwater flavor we had, but yeah, works really well. I got 5 trays out of just the one bag of taffy. So there's all my saltwater taffy here, and I'll just put all these you can put all these inside a Ziploc baggie and take them up for my grandkids for our camp in like a week or 2. So this is one of the better candy successes I've had. So so I'm gonna go ahead and stop this one now. I'm just gonna pause it and stop it because they're clearly done. So stop that, complete time, and I'll defrost after I get all the candy out. If I defrost now, the ice will drip and rehydrate my sugar. So anyway, yeah, thank you very much for joining me today. Hope this gives you some information, maybe something you can try out. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to write the comments below. I read all the comments and I will respond to any questions or comments you might have. And if you're getting information from this channel that you're liking, please share it with others that you think would be interested, and subscribe. And I hope that I can keep putting out videos that will hopefully get better as I do more, and maybe make some more valuable information for you. So that's why I'm doing this channel, hopefully help other people who are new with a freeze dryer so they can avoid some of the mistakes that I've made, and maybe learn how to do some things that I'm experimenting with. And like I said, I think the best thing I learned out of this one is that with certain candies, if you cut them small enough, you can get them done in an hour, 15 minutes. I think this was it was done as much as it is now in the first 1 hour. I ran it for 45 minutes, tested it, then ran it for another half hour, and I think the difference between the 45 minutes, an hour, and 15, slightly more water left in there, but I think we ran this for just 1 hour, it would have been more than enough. So you're talking 10-15 minutes of warming time, 1 hour of freeze drying time. We're talking an hour and 15 minutes for 5 trays of candy. So yeah, that was very quick, very good, and I'm really happy with my Taffy and Laffy Taffy and Saltwater Taffy experiment. So thank you again for joining me. I hope you have a good day, and I will talk to you later.